Every empire swears its money is unbreakable. Rome said its silver would last forever. China believed its paper money was the future. Spain thought its mountain of gold made it untouchable. And today, the United States insists the dollar is the bedrock of global finance. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Every empire in history has watched its currency crumble, not by accident, but by arithmetic, ambition, and time. And the most chilling part? The warning signs that destroyed past empires are flashing again right now. So the real mystery isn't if the next major collapse is coming. It's which giant will fall first, and how the collapse will begin. Welcome back. This is Legacy Finance Stories, where money, power, and collapse leave lessons most people ignore until it's too late. The origins, how money becomes a weapon of empire. To understand why currencies die, we need to go back to the beginning. Not to Wall Street, not to central banks, but to the first superpower that mastered the art of financial trust, Rome. Rome and the silver denarius in the 1st century CE, Rome had the most stable money in the world. Silver coin, the denarius, that merchants accepted from Britain to Egypt. The deal was simple. Rome would conquer. The conquered would pay taxes in silver, and the silver would keep Rome's army marching. But empires grow addicted to their own strength. Rome wanted bigger armies, bigger cities, bigger borders. And instead of cutting spending or raising taxes, politically dangerous ideas, emperors found a shortcut. They quietly reduced the silver in the coins, stretching the money supply. At first, nobody noticed. A few percent here, a few percent there. But once trust cracks, it doesn't repair itself. By the 3rd century, the denarius was less than 5% silver. Prices soared. Soldiers demanded payment in gold. Trade networks collapsed. Rome didn't fall in a day. It fell in a century of financial decay, a long, slow corrosion of faith in its money. This was the first great lesson of history. When empires can print, they will. And when they print, their money dies. But Rome was only the beginning. The rise when currency becomes the engine of power, fast forward 800 years. The next monetary revolution came from a power few expected, Imperial China. Patrons invented something radical. Paper notes backed by deposits of metal. It was efficient, portable, and innovative. The government quickly adopted it. But innovation quickly turned into temptation. When wars drained the treasury, emperors printed more notes. Then more, then more. You can guess what happened next. In the 1270s, Chinese paper money lost almost all value. People demanded payment in silver again. Currency died, and the dynasty fell soon after. A pattern had emerged. Every time rulers discovered how easy it was to print money, they did, and the currency collapsed. But the most dramatic currency implosion in history was still to come. Absurd, the breaking point when wealth turns to ashes, Spain, and the gold delusion in the 1500s. Spain became the richest empire on earth, not because of innovation, not because of trade, but because it stole thousands of tons of silver and gold from the Americas. Spain believed gold could buy power forever. But money isn't about metal. It's about trust. When Spain flooded Europe with precious metal, the supply exploded. Prices soared, savings evaporated, salaries became worthless. It was the first major case of global inflation. Spain learned too late that even gold can become worthless if there's too much of it. And when debt piled up and silver shipments slowed, the empire declared bankruptcy, not once, but 14 times. This wasn't mismanagement. It was mathematics. No empire can outrun the consequences of its own money. The fallout when governments lose control. Now we jump to the 20th century, the modern age of finance. Weimar Germany, the night money died after World War I. Germany owed massive reparations. Instead of raising taxes or cutting spending, the government printed money. But this time, the scale was unimaginable. A loaf of bread went from 1 mark to 100, then 10,000, then 1 billion marks. People carried wages in wheelbarrows. Children played with stacks of bills like building blocks. Savings evaporated in real time. Hyperinflation didn't just destroy money, it destroyed faith. And that collapse of trust paved the way for extremism and war. History's message was clear. If a currency collapses, so does the society built on it. But the most important twist is this: these weren't isolated disasters. They were repeating patterns. The failed fix is why modern nations repeat ancient mistakes. We like to think today's world is smarter. Central banks are more responsible. Digital systems prevent collapse. But the numbers tell a different story. The age of safe money was an illusion from the 1970s onward. Countries left the gold standard. Money became entirely based on confidence and the ability to print. What followed? Global debt exploded to $315 trillion. The US alone hit $38 trillion. Japan topped 250% debt to GDP. Argentina defaulted 9 times Lebanon's. Banks froze deposits overnight. The UK saw a currency panic in 2022. The US had major bank failures in 2023. Inflation surged worldwide in 2021 to 2022. We solved every crisis by creating more debt than before. Rome debased silver. China printed paper. Spain flooded gold. We create digital money with a keystroke. Different tools, same outcome. The pattern always ends the same way. When money grows faster than trust, collapse follows. Which brings us to the question everyone is asking. The parallel: which empire collapses next? History doesn't give guarantees, but it gives unmistakable signals. Signal number 1, rising debt with no plan to repay. The US, Japan, and EU have all passed the point of repayment. They now roll over debt forever, just like every empire before collapse. Signal number 2, money printing as standard policy. Between 2020 and 2021, the US printed 30% of all dollars ever created. Signal number 3, falling trust in currency. Countries from China to Russia to Saudi Arabia are quietly reducing their dependency on the dollar. Signal number 4, banks under stress. US regional banks failed in 2023. European banks needed emergency funding. China's property markets are in crisis. Signal number 5, wealth gap surging. Every major empire saw inequality spike just before collapse. Rome, France, Spain, Britain, and now the modern world. So which nation collapses next? The truth is sobering. No single empire is next. The entire global system is built on the same shaky foundation. The next collapse won't be one country. It will be the fracture of a global confidence game. Takeaways: what history wants you to remember after 2,000 years of collapses. 3 lessons stand above all others. 1. Currencies don't die from numbers, they die from lost trust. Rome still had coins. Weimar still had paper. Lebanon still had bank accounts. What died was belief. 2. Governments always choose the easy path. Print now, pay later. Not because they're evil, but because collapse today loses power immediately. Collapse later becomes someone else's problem. Asterisk 3. The survivors are not the ones who trust the system. They're the ones who prepare for when it breaks. Asterisk in every collapse from Byzantium to Argentina. Those who held real assets, liquidity, and skills rose while others fell. Final warning: every empire believes its money is immortal. Every empire insists this time is different. And every empire eventually learns the same lesson. Money is not metal. It is not paper. It is not digital code. Money is trust, and trust is fragile. History doesn't repeat. But it rhymes loudly enough for anyone who listens. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe because history has the warnings. And I'll show you exactly where to look.